Just about everybody. If you go back and listen to the shows, I'm always asking this question because I get different answers every time, and it's a mystery I desperately want the solution to. I always say, if those first 10 pages, if I could have told you the whole novel in 10 pages, I wouldn't have written the whole novel. I'd have written 10 pages. In fact, now I'm thinking, for something you said, that if I could get away with it, I'd send you a query letter, and my pitch would just be sentence 1 of the novel followed by the entire novel. This is a query letter now that's 300 pages long, but by the time you get to the end of it, well, you'll know whether or not you like the book. So what in those first 10 pages are you looking for? What gives you some indication that this is something you want to see more of, or that, no, this is nothing I want to work with?
Sure. I think that I can understand your frustration, because I'm sure that it is very annoying to have people tell you that you should, have everything that's going to happen in your book already present in the first 10 pages. I mean, that's a very tall order. But I think what it really boils down to is making sure that there's a microcosm of the tension that's going to come into play over the course of the novel within those first 10 pages. And, maybe you're not actually giving away the plot in microcosm, but that the level of tension is there. I always think about, I heard Donald Moss, who's an adult agent who writing the Breakout novel, which is an excellent book. It's a book where he analyzes the kind of breakout adult literary fiction hits of like maybe the mid 90s, early 2000s, and kind of tries to figure out what they all had in common that allowed them to break out and become bestsellers. And one of the things he said in his talk was that he thinks that every page has to have some form of tension, and he instructed writers to throw their manuscript up in the air and let it all fall down to the ground. And if you grab any page and read it, there should be something in that page that makes you want to turn to the next page. And so I think that when I'm looking at the first, I don't remember what you said, but first 10 pages, I feel like I'm looking for that sense that I want to keep turning the pages. And that really does, I think tension is the most effective way to define that. I also look for really confident choices. I think that, I want to see that an author has an ability to kind of, not necessarily like, I definitely don't want to see like a showboating writing style. But I like to see, the confidence to maybe drop a dialogue tag, or the confidence to, have a incomplete sentence once in a while if it makes sense for the voice of the character. Often I find that the writing style ends up being very straight and bland. So I'm looking for something a little more distinctive than that in those first pages.
And are you a big fan of grab you by the shirt collar hooks right there in paragraph 1, paragraph 2, or is that gimmicky and you prefer that you just keep the tension building by the end of the 10 pages?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I find that the author's hand is usually too visible in those devices. And I can kind of read between the lines why the author is, front loading the manuscript that way. It does usually turn me off to have something like that. I think for some genres, it probably works well. Maybe horror is one, and maybe very commercial middle grade adventure fiction is another, where you can have like I think Percy Jackson opens with that kind of, I don't know if it's the first page, but certainly the first scene is a pretty intense kind of action sort of scene. So I think it can be okay for some genres, but generally speaking, when I see it in a query, I don't tend to like it.
All right, good to know. Good tip for